Clara had never been more lost. That morning she had gone out in the woods to play, but the forest was bigger than she expected. Trees stretched on for what felt like miles overhead, and Clara was scared. Her dress was tattered and covered in mud, and her usually well kept hair was a mess. She had no clue where she was going. She knew a lot of time had passed because she left the house around 9, and now the sun was setting. Would she have to live in these woods forever? Would she ever find a way back home? Everything felt hopeless. Clara sat herself down on a stump and started to cry. "Oh, woe is me," she wept. "I miss my family back at home, and now I'll never see them again." Just then the rabbit, hearing her cries, came up to her. "Oh, little girl, don't cry. You'll be home soon enough. Follow me." Clara had never heard of a talking rabbit, except in her storybooks. But here one was, right in front of her, ready to take her home. Clara nodded, and like that the rabbit was off, ducking under branches and jumping over roots. Clara had to run to keep up with it. Unfortunately for her, she wasn't quite as agile as a rabbit, and she soon lost it. She called out for the rabbit, "Mr. Rabbit, where are you?" But there was no reply. She was all alone again. Well, she wasn't going to mope around this time. No, she was going to find her way back home on her own. She pushed through trees and continued forward, but it was no use. She was still completely lost. Just as she was about to give up hope again, she noticed something out of the corner of her eye. Was that sunlight? But the sun had gone down ages ago. How could this be? Ever so slowly, she walked closer to the sunlight, and what she saw amazed her. It was a glass wall leading into a giant meadow. One of the trees she saw was even split in half along the glass wall. She walked closer to it, and before long she was standing right in front of it. She looked up to find it went up for miles. Carefully, she put one hand against the glass. She found that her hand passed right through it. That gave her quite a shock, and she pulled her hand away. She was about to step through the glass when she heard her father calling for her. "Clara, thank goodness I found you," he said, picking her up and away from the glass. "You had me worried." "Father," Clara said, wrapping her arms around him, "I missed you." "Well, now we can go home," her father said, walking deeper into the woods and towards home. The end.